It's December 2nd, 2021 in Kano State. Hanifa is walking home from her Islamic school in Kwana, Dankata. She's 5 years old, the only child of her parents. She's small, she's innocent, and she thinks she's safe because she sees a familiar face. A short while, a tricycle pulls up, and when the man inside calls her name, she recognized him as her school headmaster. Because this is somebody that she's familiar with, she decided to get into the tricycle. This school headmaster, Abdulmalik Tanko, the very headmaster of her school, Noble Kids Academy, picks her up and takes her to his house in Tudumutala. And when his wife asked him whose child it was and why he brought the girl home, he just simply told her that she was the daughter of a teacher who traveled, and this teacher asked him to look after her for a while. The woman, being untrusting, believed it because who would not believe her husband? And for 2 days, Hanifa was missing. Parents kept on searching for their child. They went through different sources. They went to the media. They went to the police. They kept on searching for this girl, praying so hard that nothing bad had happened to her. Everybody felt that she might have missed her way, but it wasn't normal for her to miss her way. This was a school that she goes to daily, and they haven't been an issue for once. But 2 days later, the phone in the Abubakar household rings, and the voice on the other end was demanding for a ransom, 6 million naira. And for weeks, the family tried their best to gather up this money. 6 million isn't a small money in 2021. It's not even a small money now, but they did all their best to gather up this money to save their child. Now, while they were doing this, Abdul Malik played the role of a concerned educator. He even helped them in searching for the girl. He was always with the family, encouraging them and telling them that they would see their child. But as days turned into weeks, and while the family was still trying to gather up the money, Tanko realized that this little girl had recognized him, and that was bad for him. It chilled him to his bones, because if she knew who he was and knew where she was, she could literally expose him. And then he decided to save himself. And to save himself, Hanifa needed to be out of the way. By December 18, 2021, at around 11 p.m., Tanko decided that he wanted to take his evening tea. And then after taking his evening tea, he left a little bit in the cup, and then he went to get bobo. After getting bobo is a very popular drink in Nigeria, and most children recognize bobo. Once he got bobo, he poured the tea inside that bobo drink, and he didn't just do that, he put rat poison and mixed it very well so that even the taste would be unrecognizable. And then he called Hanifa. He was like, "Zo, come here, come and take what I got for you." And Hanifa, being all happy, because like I said, this was someone she trusted, took it and drank. While she was drinking this bobo, he told her that this was the day he was going to take her back to her uncle, and that after drinking she should get prepared because he was going to take her back. Now when she heard it, she was so happy because, like I said, she trusted him even to the very end. So she went along with him, and on their way to his other school, currently Tanko has 2 schools, Noble Kids Academy and NAZY'S Preparatory School. On their way to the other school, Hanifa was sadly unalive. But he didn't stop there. He decided to hide what he had done. He called an accomplice and explained what had happened. This accomplice is Hashim Ishako. When this accomplice heard what had happened, he was like, so what do you want to do about it? And then Tanko told him, "I just want to, dispose this off. I don't want anything to do with this." And Hashim Ishako just agreed. He was like, "Okay, since you want to dispose this off, you don't want anybody to know about it, I will help you." And that was how he was able to recruit Hakim into his scheme. And together, they put Hanifa into a sack and buried her in a shallow grave, right there in a school compound where other children would be playing on. That's really creepy. This story literally gets intense from here. For weeks, the Nigerian police and the DSS were playing it quiet and investigating the whole situation. At some point, when Hanifa was still alive, the family had sent a bit of the 6 million naira. But Tanko got a bit greedy and he wanted the rest of the 6 million naira. So they decided to set a trap for him. They told him that they already have the ransom and set up a place to drop the ransom so he would go pick it. And when he showed up to collect this ransom, this was when the DSS showed up too and arrested him. At this point, the Abubakars, Hanifa's parents, were hoping and praying that Hanifa was still alive. This would bring a lot of joy for weeks in their life. So they took Tanko into the interrogation room and kept on interrogating him. And under pressure, he confessed. He didn't just confess to kidnapping. He also confessed to unaliving her and told them that he was going to show them where he had kept Hanifat. And so on January 20, 2022, the police, DSS and the medical team were led by Tanko to Northwest Preparatory School where he had dumped Hanifat. And once he got to it, he just pointed to a patch of sand on the school ground and he said, "There, that's where she is." As they dug in that particular spot where he pointed, the horrors became real. They found Hanifat, young, wrapped in a sack, buried like trash in the very place where she should be learning ABCs. And when this broke out in the city of Kano the next morning, the city woke up with cries for blood and justice. Now, Tanko was arrested together with his accomplice and charged to court. And on July 28, 2022, the Malik Tanko was sentenced to death by hanging. Now, due to the pains of the situation and the peculiarity of the person involved, the youth of Kano State, very, very angry and sad at the demise, went in their numbers to Abdul Malik Tanko's schools, destroyed everything and burnt it to the ground. Now, this is one of those cases where I am happy with how it ended, because this is just so sad. Imagine doing this to somebody like Hanifat, and this is coming from someone she trusted with all her heart, her own school headmaster. Well, let me know what you think in the comments.